Can bring you some breaking news right now. We are just hearing reports attributed to government officials who are saying that Supreme Court Justice David Souter plans to retire. Justice Souter is 69 years old. He is not the oldest member of the court. That honor goes to Justice John Paul Stevens, who is 89 years old. Souter fully 20 years younger than him. Ruth Bader Ginsburg is also 76. There had been speculation that Souter might be considering retiring because of the timing of the choice of his clerks this year. We're joined right now by NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams, who brings us this reporting. Pete, thanks very much for joining us.
You bet. Well, we've been told by several government sources that Justice Souter has signaled his intention to retire and that he would be stepping down. It's not entirely clear whether it would be at the end of this term or whether it would be as soon as a nomination can be made. But as you note, he is just had he's 69 rather. He just passed the period where he would be choosing his clerks, and that's what got the gossip going, that maybe he wasn't going to stay around. But we've now been told by several government officials that he has signaled his intention, that he intends to retire. Now, this would mean, of course, that Barack Obama would be nominating a replacement on the Supreme Court. And it's important to remember that that probably will not change the philosophical lineup of the court in any big seismic shift. Justice Souter, though he was appointed by George Bush, was a Republican appointee. The first president, George Bush, he had two Supreme Court appointments, Clarence Thomas and David Souter. He has, though appointed by the first President Bush, has tended to vote with the more liberal members of the court. Oftentimes, cases are decided by a 5-4 vote. And Justice Souter is one of those four who tends to vote with the more liberal members of the court, John Paul Stevens, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Stephen Breyer. So to have his successor chosen by a Democratic President, Barack Obama, and confirmed by a Democratic Senate with a what it appears to be a relatively comfortable margin in the Senate, also controlled by Democrats, means that we're going to get a moderate to liberal justice, although you can be sure that the Republicans will try very hard to make sure that the president doesn't get a very liberal justice. But the big news here is that David Souter intends to retire, we're told by a number of government officials. He himself had no comment tonight. A spokesman for the Supreme Court said he had no comment. And he didn't say anything about this. Yesterday was the last day for oral argument of the term. He said nothing about it publicly.
Pete, one last very quick question. Is there any... all right, we've actually got to go right now, but thank you very much for this reporting. I appreciate it. Pete Williams, please stay tuned.